Anyway, I came across some Ray Smith tapes yesterday, and it kind of reminded me of a lot of the things that I believe. I never talk about it anymore, but my faith, I do call my faith torrefaction, because there came to a point where I felt I could no longer call it Christianity, even though that's exactly what I believe it is, true Christianity. But the idea, the concept of what Christianity is has become so convoluted and basically destroyed in the minds of people, minds of the masses, that when you call yourself a Christian, they identify you with whatever they think that is or supposed to be, when they themselves likely have no clue as to what it is. And uh, either that or they think they do and they really don't, which is even worse, because then they're just even more adamant in their falsehoods. And so I decided to call it torrefaction. And that name encompasses a lot of things. The base idea of which is the alchemical process through which our soul is ever undertaking. It's a never-ending process of continual purification through experience of life. You don't get saved one day when you pray a prayer in some church because a preacher asked you to repeat after him. Salvation is a process you go through over your life, your lifetime. That's the process reserved for the elect. You already are elect from the beginning, and then you are born and you live the life of the elect person that God has made you to be. It's not a choice that you do. It's not free will. It's just simply the life that you have been given to live. And at some point during that life, God opened your eyes to a greater awareness, and then you are aware of your own becoming. That's the difference between an elect individual and someone who is not, just to say the goy. Everyone else in all Christian circles, as far as I know, outside of the predestination types, there's basically two types of predestination, two main ones, and those are people that on one hand will say hell is eternal and you are predestined either to go with God or to go to hell for eternity. And then there's the other set that realizes predestination, but then says God does not predestine people for an eternity with God or an eternity with hell, in hell. Because to basically to condemn people to hell from the beginning, living people who have to experience hell for eternity and have it all being predestined from the start, is contrary not only to what I believe the Word of God, the Bible, but also to the nature of God. Or some would say the love of God, but that's not entirely accurate, because the love of God has to do with covenant, and he didn't make covenant with everybody in the first place. So he's not required to love everybody. He's only required to love those that he made a covenant with. Like a marriage or something. You're in a store and you see kids running around screaming. You don't punish those kids because they're not your kids. You punish your kids. He punishes his kids. He loves his kids. He loves his family. That's the point. Anyway, I don't know what to say in this video. I mean, I thought I would write some stuff down and just some topical points just to go over. Of course, I haven't done that yet. I'm just talking to the damn computer. There were a lot of things that I used to think about a lot, and I haven't really thought about them lately. I haven't really talked about them lately. It kind of just all blends together and merges together. But the concept of torrefaction, I was reminded basically of my own concept today of torrefaction. Which is what I did call my faith. It's not a religion, it's a faith. A religion requires practices, observances. Of course, if you believe predestination, then that obviously does not require any observation. It's just a function of the cosmos. It's just the way the universe works. You don't have to observe it for it to be real. You don't have to worship God for Him to be God. Neither do you have to praise Him or go to church to be a child of God. When you have a child, they are in the family. It's by blood. You can't not be. You're not going to be disowned. I mean, you're part of the family. It is what it is. Nothing you can do can nothing you can do can make you part of the family. You cannot choose to be born into a family. You're born into the family you're born in through no choice of your own. And that's the same with God. That's the same with Christianity and the covenant. I wonder about hair color. Hair color. Everything is important. Eye color, hair color. It actually is. Everybody's mixed. I don't mind white people having dark hair. I actually like dark hair, and I'm attracted to those types of women. I don't like dark eyes, though. And as I am noticing now, lots of these women, most people have these dark eyes. I never really noticed it before. It's almost like a trait. It's a trait that should be treasured, I think, because it's becoming, it's fading out, it's fading away, it's becoming less and less available as we become more and more mixed together. I'm just seeing that as a type. Almost like red hair. If you take the idea of the giants and the Nephilim and you run it back as far as you can, you end up with what I believe used to be the original race of white people in North America. And they were said to be giants. They were said to have 6 fingers on each hand, and consequently 6 toes on their feet. They were also said to have red hair. And it may well be that the original white people were redheaded, and that it is a trait that is all but wiped out now, all but gone. And I think about it. You look at redhead people, the natural ones, and they have they have pale skin, very easily damaged, sunburned. A lot of them, as they get older, they start having a bunch of freckles and just skin problems from the ultraviolet rays from the sun. The atmosphere in the old world, back in the old age, when everything was 5 times the size that it is now, when you had saber-toothed tigers, and there's a saber-toothed rat that's like a 4-foot fucking rat. That's back in the good old days, back when the atmospheric pressure was twice what it is now, which means you breathed in twice the oxygen, which means you had twice the oxygen in your brain, in your blood, in your bodies, in your organs, in your cells. Back when we had telepathy and could apparently mold stone, build the pyramids. Back when we were 10 feet tall, had IQs of probably 300 or something. People think you go back 20,000 years and they think they were cavemen because they didn't have any languages, they didn't have any writing. But if you can communicate with your damn mind, you don't need a language because you're communicating in pure thought. Speech patterns, which even learning a language hinders your thought process, because your thoughts are like the speed of light, but then your words are like the speed of sound. So even having to rationalize and cognize your own thought process in terms of speech patterns reduces how fast you can think in the terms that you can think in, based on it's limited by the parameters of that language. And now as they keep reducing languages to an ever refined, ever constricted, lower and lower vocabulary, that's even further reducing our capacity not only to communicate, but also to comprehend and rationalize the world around us, limiting the number of concepts that we can actually entertain in our mind. Anyway, many thousands of years ago, we had free thought, and we could communicate with our minds, free of any kind of linguistic restriction. I mean, we are such. I have always said that compared to original humanity, we're like, well, I have said retarded. I've also said that we're like children. I know how we used to look 20, 30,000 years ago when at least the white race was new. The genetics were new. We would look like retarded people to them because our facial features are so homogenized and refined and just softened to such a point, to such an extent that we would appear to be retarded. And I would suggest that we actually are retarded in comparison to the originators of the race. There's an aspect of white blood that is divine, but there's also an aspect of it that is fragile and that is in danger of being lost. We are different because we are meant to be different. I just can't imagine people thinking that we're all the same and that there's no There's nothing wrong with mixing the races together. The more I think about it, the more I watch, the more I look, the more I see, the more I believe. And it's just so damn obvious that there's a difference, a totally different, two separate origin points. They don't come from each other. White people do not come from black people. God did not make Adam, and everyone else came from him. He made different races. Each one has its own origin point. Now, I told one guy arguing with me, a bit as a joke. He was arguing about the whole black Israelite bullshit. And I told him the Anunnaki made the black people by mixing their blood with the apes. The demons made the black people by mixing their blood with the apes. And then, because of that contamination of the planet, God saw fit to make white people. So he made Adam. That's it as a joke, just trying to piss him off, just we're on two completely different planes of thought here. So there's no point in even trying to converse. But there is truth to that. I'm not certain if the demons mix their blood with the apes or whatnot to make black people, but it would not fucking surprise me. And that's about what the hell they look like anyway. You don't have any white fucking apes running around. Which is precisely why God would mark the white people as separate from them in the first place. Monkey blood. RH negative. RH negative. Pure blood, not tainted. By the rhesus monkey. RH negative. How the hell, if we came from apes, do you have a gene type in the human blood? How the hell do you have a blood type? You have blood types. A and B and AB, type O. How the fuck do you have RH negative if we came from apes? Then there are people on this planet that have zero genetic markers in common with fucking apes. Negative. Non-existent. Something's going on somewhere. And they're not goddamn black people either. You'll never find a black person that's RH negative. I guarantee you that. The true story of the Nephilim is not the gods mating with apes to make humans, and that we should preserve this godlike lineage of having more Nephilim blood versus human blood. The truth of what they did in the Luciferian Atlantean age was mixing the monkey blood with the original humans in the first place to fuck their DNA up. That's what they were doing. And that's what they're trying to do again. Everyone's running around with monkey blood in their veins, and they have been confused, and they have been brainwashed into thinking that they came from that stuff naturally, and now they worship their own blood and their own fallen nature, their own degraded DNA. Now they've been confused to believe that everyone's the same, and they've been brainwashed to want to mix together and become one humanity. To erase all past idea of races, that we're all the same race, we're all one race from the same origin of dirt and nothingness. And people still try to use that bullshit that we're all one world, and they put that in with some kind of new age mantra of how we're going to become gods one day, how we all came from dirt and we're going to become gods. We all came from apes and we're going to become gods. You are your own creator. You are the creator of your own reality. All you have to do is follow some goddamn guru from around the world and you'll be setting on your way. Because you came from the goddamn monkey. I don't fucking think so. I think if anything we have been degraded and de-evolved over time by design. The opposite of selection. Fucking natural selection's a goddamn joke. Proven by society. The fact that we live in cities. The fact that we use money. Commerce. You can't have natural selection when you're building a damn house to stay out of the rain. Then who are those that reproduce besides those that bow down to Caesar and keep their house? And who are those that reproduce by the slaves? That's all they are. The slave shall serve, the slave reproduce, and the slave mentality becomes that which is desired in society and civilization. And each successive generation is only bred to become more and more of a slave. Because that's the people they choose. They do not choose free people, they choose bound people, obligated to serve. We bind ourselves spiritually to a physical construct, and then wonder why society collapsed, why civilizations collapse. It all goes back to the beginning and the original lie of how we can become gods. All we have to do is sign over our birthright as divine beings. We were already on our way to becoming as God is in the first place, but they were going to give us a way to speed it up. Telling us we can have it now. All that did was provide a method for the demons to take control of the planet and of humanity, to keep us in bondage. And now, all these thousands of years later, we still follow the lines. We still do what we are told by these demons. All this technology, all this modern world, all these machines. We still think we're going to become gods, and we still follow their lies. When everything that they tell us to do is the exact opposite of what we should do, only takes us from bad to worse, and further from God, further from our true nature, our true state of being, our natural state, to further suppress us as individuals, as humanity. And still people only choose those who are slaves and bound by the system, seeing those that are not bound by the system as being social heretics, outcasts, and abnormal, like it's some kind of mutation to not be a slave. To be a free thinker. I swear humanity is nearing its end. It's an old man waiting to die with technology as the life support. I can just see humanity in the hospital bed with this damn little monitor there beeping as its heart beats. That's what technology is. That's what computers are. That's what the iPhones are. Nothing's getting better. It just appears to get better for the end, like when the doctor says they can go home for a while because they're fixing to die anyway. Just go home and have time with your family. That's what this is. Nothing's getting better. It's getting better because it's about to get worse. It's an illusion. It's the calm before the storm. And these people just have no capacity to even comprehend anything worth a damn. And it's because of their goddamn monkey blood and their endless splicing. I'm sure of it more than anything. This world needs white blood. It needs white people to survive. As the body needs white blood cells to survive. When your white blood cells are rendered useless, your body is doomed. Black people are the red blood cells. White people are the white blood cells. They fight off the infection, the disease, the suppression of the enemy. What has happened is that the white blood cells have become compromised, as is the case with HIV, when they can no longer fight off any of the infections. Then you're pretty well fucked. And that's where we are. Like a cancer that eats us. The cancer grows as these demons keep pouring in, turning this world into their world, our life into their life, our religion into their religion. Everything to do is to destroy us, destroy our planet. It's in our water, it's in our food, it's in our air. Goddamn Fukushima turns to wormwood, destroying a third of the sea. As the great star falls from heaven, the burning mountain. I swear these people, they are retarded children. It's a joke. I just look out across the world, I see even people that think they're awake, all these truthers, these goddamn patriots, these preppers. They don't even know what they're fighting for. They don't even know what they're doing. If the people call themselves truthers, but they go to fucking raves on the weekend, the hell is that? They think they're awake, yet they It's just funny to me how people can sit there and be part of any kind of New Age movement. They'll sit there and talk about the green movement and global warming like those people are idiots, but then turn right around and go to the New Age section in the bookstore and buy books on fucking Wicca and self-help, telling them how they're going to become some kind of a god and create their reality. All they have to do is focus their intent in the direction they want to go, instead of realizing that God is fucking controlling everything. Which is the only way it can be. Either we live in a random universe full of random cause and we all come from monkeys and nothing means anything, or we have a creator who made us for a purpose, which we are living in our lives at this time. No one has the idea, no one has the intelligence to sit there and look at themselves and ask, what purpose do I serve? What purpose am I serving? Do I serve a purpose, or do I purposely serve? Who the hell knows? Best they can do is try to feel good for a while, to forget about life, forget about the world. They still go to work, they still punch the clock, they still pay their bills like good little slaves, and nothing fucking changes anyway. Because they're awake. They're patriots. And they can't even get the guts to stop paying their taxes, which is not even in the legal code anyhow. There is no law that says they have to, and they can't stop anyway, because they are free thinkers. Yes, sir. They're hardcore truthers. Still so scared of the big bad government, yet they're on top, and they know what's really going on. They're on top of things. They get it all figured out. Yet they're still hopelessly bound by the grid. They drive down the road with their driver's license like everybody else, even though they don't have to, because it's not. They are not legally obligated to do so, but they can't help it anyway. Every time they are pulled over by the cops, they comply with everything he says, because that's what you do as a good little servant. We have become the servants instead of the cops, who are the public fucking servants. And everyone just bows down. Everyone fucking bows down. Because they're gods, you see. Yes, sir. They create their reality. That's why they have to vote, to make sure they keep their freedom in office. Even though it doesn't quite work that way, but hey, they try. I just don't get these people. And they don't get me. Sometimes I do wonder what I'm doing here. If God has given me the word, why can't anyone hear? But I'm reminded of what God told Jeremiah. Told him to preach and prophesy. Also told him that no one would listen. So he had to do it anyway. Now remember what Christ said about talking in parables, how he spoke in parables because he didn't want anyone to understand what he said. He said if they understood me, then they would repent of their sin and be forgiven. So he specifically said, Christ said specifically, that he spoke in parables so that they would not repent of their sin and would not be forgiven, which thereby effectively condemned them to hell. In the biblical narrative, the context of the New Testament, Christ denied them the chance to be saved. In it, everyone thinks Christ is all about love and peace and harmony, and he loves everybody and wants to give everybody a hug. Yet he turned away more people than he ever brought in. But no one seems to be able to realize that. It is said that Christ fed 5,000 people. With the 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Everybody knows that story. They tell it to you when you're a kid as a Christian. That actually happened twice, but they pretty much just tell you once. But there were 2 different accounts. Most likely it was just the same account told 2 different ways, but the numbers are different, the time frames are different, so it appears to be 2 different accounts, 2 different times. When you put the 4 Gospels together, it appears to happen 2 separate times, even though it's probably just the first time, the one time anyway. One time it was 4,000, one time it was 5,000. But anyway, then it says he only had 120 disciples. Out of that he had 12 apostles. Out of that there's only a handful that you actually ever hear about. Peter, James, and John. Nobody even knows the rest, can't even name the rest of them. Judas and Thomas, because of their doubt and betrayal. But then who knows the rest? Nobody knows the other guys. Paul was a convert later. And not through any of the disciples, but by Christ himself, after he died, appeared to Paul personally. And then he went on to write 2/3 of the New Testament anyway, so a lot of good they did, being apostles. I mean, they just kind of faded off into history there. Anyway, there's so much to this religion, this belief we call Christianity, and everyone just wants to reduce it to just do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. The golden fucking rule that nobody gives a shit about. The entire Bible, 200 pages, summed up in one fucking line, like it makes a damn difference. Just be a good person. That's all you gotta do. It's a joke. Lonely is the word. Lonely is the name. And maybe life is a losing game. Everyone knows there's a God, but nobody knows where they stand. So they make believe that they don't have to worry about it. But they know. Everyone in their heart of hearts knows that God is the scariest thing there is. And sticking their head in the sand and ignoring it is not going to make it go away. Because everyone's going to have to face the truth sometime. And that's just how it is.